Finally, snow. Let's go convert the fatty. And we are back with another video. Today we are going to be working on the dropouts of a Trek Farley frame. So Trek gives you the ability to adjust your dropouts, which in turn increases or decreases your wheelbase, the distance between where your wheels touch on the ground. So in many cases, for a lot of people, this won't make sense to do. If you're riding, let's say 4.5-inch tires all year round, right? Then I wouldn't attempt this. One, you're probably not gonna be able, I'm pretty sure you can't do it with most tires. And you're not gonna feel it if you did. But I have 2 sets of tires. So in the wintertime, I ride 4.5-inch studded tires. And in the summertime, I ride 3.8-inch tires. And by reducing the wheelbase by 20 millimeters, I could honestly say that you could feel the difference. It is significant. It makes the bike so much more playful, ripping through cross-country trails, which is pretty much all I do in the summertime, whenever I do ride it in the summertime. It's just so much more fun. You could literally feel it. Now, I do also run higher pressures in the summertime, right? Because again, for me, it's just a question of ripping through a cross-country trail quickly and just enjoying the bike. So usually I'll run, let's say in the summertime, 10 PSI, 12 PSI sometimes, right? Depending on the actual trail. So I sacrifice some comfort for just the added, the added agility. So again, if you're riding 4.5-inch tires, I wouldn't bother, or even 4-inch tires maybe, I wouldn't bother. Some 4-inch tires, you should be able to do it depending on how thick the tread is. So outside of that, I would actually absolutely attempt it. So the only gotcha is technically you can use the same chain, but 20 millimeters is a significant decrease, and that's going to push your whole back end forward, right? Which means you can have a lot of slack that you're going to have to readjust your derailleur to make up for that, right? I don't go through that. I have 2 chains. I have one chain that I use in the wintertime that's longer, and this one over here, actually, this is my summer chain. My chain that I use in the summertime, which is shorter. So I'm going to be replacing my chain, pushing back the dropouts, and then putting in my winter chain. You can use the same chain, but from what I saw, you're still going to be left with quite a bit of slop, and that's on a 11 speed. My guess is on a 12 speed. It might be even worse as far as slop. I'm not 100% sure. I never tested this on a 12 speed. So, although you know what, man, I probably should on Kirk's, but anyway. So, yeah, that's gonna be the job today. We are going to be pushing this dropout back. All right, next up, tools. For the job, we are going to need a 20 millimeter socket for sure. You could either, a ratchet for the socket, a 5 millimeter Allen. You could either do it with a ratchet or you could use just an Allen key. That one doesn't matter. You will absolutely be needing a 10 millimeter wrench. And you will be needing either a flathead screwdriver or a flat pick in order to take out spacers. Torque wrench in order to torque everything down at the end. In my case, I'm going to need a chain tool because I will be changing chains. I do have a shorter chain for the summertime and a longer chain for the wintertime. This way I don't have to readjust derailleurs or anything, and I don't have to worry about the extra slop. And you don't need a caliper. I use a caliper only to measure the bolts at the end in order to make sure that I'm within a reasonable range of each other, as opposed to being like a whole millimeter apart, for instance, right? That's to figure out whether I'm aligned. I look to see if I'm aligned, and then I use a caliper to sort of measure if I'm aligned. And that's pretty much it. Not that many tools needed. All right, let's get on to the job and adjust the dropout. Okay, so for starters, you need to remove your back wheel. I don't think I need to go through a video to show that or put that into the video. We are going to be starting off on the non-drive side. Also, clean up any major mud or anything that you might have over here, right, on both sides, because we are going to be shifting things back and forth, and you don't want mud to get inside threads and all that stuff, right? So we are going to start off with this screw over here, and we're just going to loosen him. We don't have to remove him, just loosen him. 1 or 2 turns max. All right, just like that. Done. So next we will be removing our bolts or nuts. Or nuts, that sounds funny. Our axle bolts. Okay. Now these we're just going to remove by hand. Put them on the side. Do the same to the other side. On this side, there's only the axle bolt. You don't have to remove anything else. Okay, so this side you have this nut, this bolt over here, and the axle nut. And on this side you have the axle nut, not the axle bolt. Okay, that is done. Next, you're gonna need a screwdriver. Okay, and basically we want to pop out this guy here. Now be careful, it could be a little bit tricky. Don't put too much pressure to pop them out. Right, just slowly but surely wedge them out. 1, you don't want to scratch your frame. 2, you don't want to damage this plastic thing. If you find that he is difficult, there you go, then what you can do is try and move this guy around a little bit to get him out. All right. Out. There we go. All right, we don't want to lose those. Next, we adjust by turning these 2 bolts over here. Why they didn't make these regular hexagon bolts, I have no idea. But we're going to need a, what is that, a 10 millimeter? Yeah, 10 millimeter over here. Let me go get that. I will be back. We are back. So next we want to bring back the droppers. In order to do that, we need to turn these 2 screws, okay? So to make life easier, let me make sure I'm in the middle of the frame. To make life easier, after you took out your nuts and took out your nuts, yeah, I'm taking out my nuts. Make sure they're all clean. If you want, you can put Loctite on the inside, all right? And put them back in, but don't put them in tight. We're just gonna use them as a guide, okay? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Basically, we're going to use the nuts as a guide in order to keep the whole mechanism, both mechanisms level, right? So they won't want to flop out essentially, right? So there's 2 ways to do this. You could do this with the tire on and then take forever to thread these guys, as opposed to having a tire in the way and doing this bit by bit on each side, half a turn, half a turn. I'm just going to loosen a little bit and I'm going to do the whole thing by hand. I'm going to bring them all the way to the back by hand. Just make sure you hold on to it. If it starts getting stiff, just use your tool. Well, use a tool, use the wrench. All right. Bring it all the way back until you can't bring it back anymore. Again, this is all temporary. Okay. And same thing with this guy. Now this got the derailleur cable's in the way. So it makes them a little bit trickier, but same principle. I'm all the way back. Okay, is that all the way back? That looks like he's all the way back. Yes. So both are all the way back, right? Now, unscrew the bolts a little bit, the nuts, about halfway. Then we're going to take our little plastic clips over here, right? Or spacers, and we're going to put them in. Now this indentation goes towards the back. The bolt seats in here. So the flat part goes towards the front, right? And just put it in just like that. And then screw down the bolt, make sure it's seating on it. Not too tight yet. Okay, and do the same to the other side. Unscrew this side to make your life easier to put them in. Slip them in. Boy, nuts. Stiff. Slip them in. What kind of video is this? So, come on, get in there. Get in there. Oof. And some people probably have an issue with this video. All right. Now what I do is I take this guy in here. and he's not aligning right now. So I'm going to bring him front. Okay. I don't care to have them completely bound together, basically. I'm just keeping this here to keep these guys sort of straight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten them down. I'm going to start screwing this guy until he pushes this plastic forward and sits in the plastic until I can't do it anymore. So I got to go counterclockwise. Right there. Should literally take only a couple of turns. Make sure he's sitting in him nicely. And then okay. There we go. Now, in fact, this guy goes in nice now. Actually aligns perfectly. So now what I could do is I could test with the wheel, just to make sure that everything aligns nicely. Take the wheel, put it back on, quick. What the? Oh, it goes right in there, sweet. What you're listening for is to see if you got brake rub. I hear no brake rub, basically, right? So if it doesn't sound the way it did before, then you got to do some micro adjustments in order to make it nice and clean. You also want to make sure that both sides are straight, not relatively straight, and you have similar distance on your stays. And right now, this is looking real good. Another thing you could do is you could take a caliper and try and measure the distance and try and see if you're within reasonable range. You don't want to be way off, right? So for instance, take this guy, put him here. He has, let's say, 12.6. And this guy, again, 12.6. 12.62 and 12.61. That's more than close enough for me. So at the end of it all, it sounds like I'm aligned. We are good. So now I take the wheel out, and now we want to tighten everything down completely, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to have to go get my torque wrenches. Let me take the wheel out, and I will be back. Okay, we are going to tighten our nuts down. That's right, I'm going to tighten my nuts, and then we're going to tighten this bolt, right? So, well, let's start with the bolt first. Make sure this guy's in. We don't want to torque him down yet. Just tighten him down. We're going to torque him down at the end, so we won't have to use the torque wrench to do that. And we will do the same with the nuts. All right, it's there. And this guy's here. So first we will start off with the bigger nuts. Bolt says 200 inch-pounds. Technically that's 22.6 newton meters, right? So get him out of the way. See a line? Can you see him? Yeah. All right, 22.7. That's good. Let's do this guy here. $22.7. Now let's go and torque down our little bolt over here. Now this guy I have no idea. I do him 5 newton meters. Heads in the way of the light. That's all I do. There we go, 5.02. I don't think it needs to be more because the reality is this plastic thing takes off all the tension from this guy anyway. So we are done bringing back the dropouts. Next, I'm just going to replace my chain and put on the wheel. As for replacing the chain, I'm sure you guys have seen this 1,000 times, but hey, I've come this far, why not? In this case, there's a quick link. I have to find and remove the quick link. All right. I'm going to take the chain and I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to get the new one. Okay, now that I readjusted the camera so you can see better. This is a Shimano chain. Shimano has letters. Letters go on the outside, they face you basically. The blank spot goes on, the blank side goes on the inside, right? So let's just put them around here now. Just like that. Come on, Tony. Then we're gonna take this guy, we're gonna put him around the inside over here, just like that. And he's gonna go in back of the tab. Could you see him over here? Yeah, there's a tab over here. You want the chain to go in back, and then you want the chain to go around the jockey wheel. Just like that, all right? Then we link our chain. Now, in the links, there's directions, right? There's arrows. See that? Yeah, there's arrows. Chain goes this way, so the arrow goes the way of the chain, or the direction of the chain, right? So we got that one there. That means the other one goes. Can you see this? Oh, man. And we got the other one here, and then we just snap them together. Just like, I know. Keep on forgetting to put it in frame. Come on. In there. Oh, you're being stubborn. What the? Come on, man, get in there. There we go. Now, where's my little tool? Take them and click, done. Now we put on the wheel. Get out of the way of the camera. All right. Put it on the bottom, make it look easier here. Boom. All right, get out of the camera. Now we put the front on, chain ring, and we test him out. Get on there, come on. All right. Now let's just test him out to make sure that he's shifting good. Looking pretty good. Needs a little micro adjustment. Say 1 turn of the barrel going downwards. Yeah, he's good. He's good. You might need 1 or 2 little clicks. That's pretty much it. We just pushed back the dropout, right? So the whole wheel pushed back the dropout. So now it's going to be a little bit more stable in the snow. Again, but in the summertime, if you're riding, I'm going to change out these wheels. I'm going to put on the studded tires after this. So, but if you're running 3.8 inch tires, just like these Bontraggers over here, the Hodags, yeah, man, it makes I find it makes a very noticeable difference shrinking that wheelbase by 20 millimeters. Again, especially on tight cross-country trails, it's just a lot of fun, right? So, but again, if you're riding constantly at 4.5 inch tires, I don't think you're going to feel the difference all that much. So hopefully this helps out some Farley owners. If you've never actually tried this on your bike, I recommend giving it a shot. You just might like it, but again, you do not want this all the way front in the wintertime. You definitely want the longer wheelbase in the wintertime to get more stability, right? Even though it's only 20 millimeters, believe it or not, 20 millimeters is significant when it comes to wheelbase. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you disliked the video, thumbs down. If you would like to see more videos, click the subscribe button. That would be great. If you want to get a notice of new videos coming out, click the bell. I will have more videos coming out. So hope you enjoyed this, and looking forward to the next video. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.